welcome to the deep dive. This time you shared a really insightful blog post with me.
Oh, yeah?
From Al Wynant over at Ingomu. It really gets to the heart of something I suspect, well, many of us experience, but maybe don't always talk about openly.
Mm-hmm.
That undercurrent of stress, the risk of burnout, and that feeling of being sort of disconnected in our modern work lives.
Precisely. And what makes Wynant's piece, I think, so valuable for our deep dive today is that it doesn't just dwell on these problems.
Right.
It actually explores potential solutions. It kind of prompts us to consider, how can we fundamentally rethink the support systems within our workplaces to foster a healthier, maybe more connected experience for you and your colleagues listening?
Absolutely. And right from the start, Wynant talks about what he calls the quiet crisis.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking to big dramatic workplace blowups, but more the subtle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Maybe more sick days popping up. That almost vacant look some people get on video calls.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Or those late night emails that just scream exhaustion, And the classic, I'm fine, when, well, maybe they're not.
Exactly. And what's really striking in his observation is this gap, right, between how people often present themselves on the outside and what they might actually be dealing with inside. People can look composed, hit deadlines, seem totally productive.
They have to keep it all together.
Right. While juggling significant stress, feeling burnt out, or just detached. Wynant's point is that this outward appearance can mask a real internal struggle.
A struggle that companies might be missing.
And largely missing, yeah. And it leads to this sort of slow erosion of well-being and eventually productivity, too.
It really makes you wonder if companies are truly set up to even notice these quieter signs.
Well, that's the question.
It's not like everyone's going to just announce they're struggling, right?
Yeah.
It often comes out in these more indirect ways.
Which raises a really crucial point about emotional disconnection. Wynant gives credit where it's due, acknowledging the progress in areas like DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Which is vital, absolutely.
Totally essential. But he suggests our focus on emotional well-being specifically hasn't quite kept up. We might see, mental health initiatives or campaigns.
Yeah, the occasional workshop or email blast.
Exactly. But the question is, are these really hitting the mark for the day-to-day reality for a lot of people?
That's it. It can sometimes feel a bit like checking a box, can't it?
A bit performative, maybe.
Yeah, okay, done our mental health awareness week, but what about ongoing support beyond just those one-off things? And that statistic Wynant uses from Gallup's 2023 report, wow, 44% of workers felt significant stress the previous day.
24%. That really just highlights the sheer scale of what we're discussing here.
That's huge.
It really is. And it forces us to ask, are companies genuinely investing in supporting people's well-being day in, day out? Or is there this unspoken expectation that you just sort of manage your stress quietly on your own?
Silently power through.
Yeah. It's a tough question.
So Wynant then kind of shifts gears to why this might be happening. He looks critically at the usual workplace support, right?
He does. Things like employee assistance programs, EAPs. He basically says they're mostly reactive.
Reactive how?
Well, they're there to help when there's already a crisis. But what about stopping those crises from even happening? What about prevention?
Okay. So it's like waiting for the fire instead of installing smoke detectors.
Kind of, yeah. And a big assumption behind these reactive models is that people will actually step forward when they're struggling.
But they often don't.
Exactly. And Wynant points out lots of reasons why not. Think about the culture in many places.
Oh, absolutely. That pressure to always be on, always performing, never showing weakness.
Right. The hustle culture.
Yeah. Admitting you're overwhelmed can feel risky, like you're not resilient enough or something. It's almost a badge of honor to be slammed busy.
And then there's the whole remote work thing, too. It has benefits, sure, flexibility, but it's also blurred those lines between work and life. And those little spontaneous check-ins you might have had in the office.
Yeah, just noticing someone seems a bit off.
Those are often gone. It makes it even harder to see when someone's struggling quietly behind their screen.
So the end result, as Wynant puts it, is this workforce that looks productive.
On the surface.
But underneath, there might be a lot of emotional distress. The work gets done, but maybe at a big personal cost the company just doesn't see.
Which is exactly where Wynant introduces coaching as a really interesting, maybe increasingly relevant intervention.
Coaching?
And he emphasizes it's evolving, It's not just for execs or fixing performance problems anymore.
Right.
It's being seen for its potential to build resilience, emotional intelligence, really across the board in an organization.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit, because a coaching can mean different things, can't it?
It definitely can.
Wynant is careful to draw lines, right? He says it's not therapy often looks back to heal the past. And it's not mentoring either, which might be broader career advice from someone experienced.
Exactly. He positions coaching as much more forward-looking, focused on present challenges, future goals.
So what does that actually look like?
Well, at its heart, coaching is about creating this dedicated, confidential space for employees to explore what they're facing now, get clear on what they want to achieve, and build more self-awareness. It's collaborative.
Collaborative.
Yeah, it's a partnership focused on helping the person move forward and develop. Think of it like identifying current roadblocks and finding practical ways around them.
Rather than digging into why the roadblocks are there in the first place, like therapy might.
Precisely. And unlike mentoring, where someone might just tell you, here's what I did, coaching is more about guiding the person to find their own answers through, exploration and powerful questions.
And that proactive part seems key. Instead of waiting for burnout, coaching aims to give people the tools and support before things get critical, to navigate the tough stuff more effectively, maybe prevent the breakdown altogether.
And what's really central to Wynant's view is this belief in the person's own resourcefulness.
Meaning,
coaching works on the idea that people are capable, they often have the answers inside them.
Right.
They just might need some skilled guidance, some support to unlock that potential and handle the complexities they face.
Which leads to that really positive vision Wynant paints, doesn't it? A workplace where people aren't just gritting their teeth and surviving.
Yeah, just getting through the day.
But actually developing the skills to thrive, even when things are tough. That feels like a big shift.
It's a huge, potentially transformative shift in perspective. And Wynant breaks down some specific skills coaching can help develop, skills that are, frankly, becoming crucial.
Not just the technical stuff anymore.
No, these human skills are increasingly vital for success, both for the individual and the organization.
Okay, like what he mentions emotional intelligence first, I think.
Yeah. Yes. That ability to recognize your own emotions, understand others, and manage how you react constructively.
Which sounds fundamental for just about any job involving other humans.
Absolutely. And then there's resilience.
Right.
Coaching helps people reframe setbacks, build mental toughness, but not by just telling them to be tougher, which, as we said, isn't sustainable.
So how does it build resilience then?
By fostering healthier, more adaptable ways to respond to pressure. Maybe helping someone see their usual stress reactions and then develop different coping strategies. Reframing failure as learning, that sort of thing.
Okay. And communication skills too, right?
Huge. Learning to actually articulate what you need. Setting healthy boundaries at work.
Which can be really hard.
It can. And handling difficult conversations with more confidence. These are skills that help everyone, everywhere in the organization, and probably outside work too.
True. And the last one he mentioned was clarity.
Clarity, yes. Coaching can help people get a much better handle on their personal and professional values.
What really matters to them.
Exactly. And then figure out how to align their work, their choices, with those core principles.
Which must give a greater sense of purpose.
Absolutely. And that sense of purpose can be a powerful antidote to burnout and feeling disengaged.
So the big picture Wynant sees is moving away from this need to pretend everything's perfect.
Right. Hiding the struggles.
Towards a workplace where people feel genuinely empowered to grow, adapt, and be, well, more authentic at work.
Now, this naturally leads to a really critical point. Wynant tackles access.
Ah, yeah. Who actually gets this coaching?
Exactly. We've talked about how beneficial it can be, but traditionally it's often been seen as like a perk for senior leaders.
Or the high potential fast tracker.
Right. And Wynant really pushes back against that limited view.
He argues that if stress is so widespread, back to that 44% number, then surely the solution should be widespread too, right? It doesn't make sense to restrict it.
It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it, to limit access precisely for the people who might be feeling the most pressure or disconnection.
So he's arguing for democratizing coaching, making it available more broadly.
That's exactly the term he uses, democratization. Shifting it from being this scarce privilege to being seen as a core strategy for well-being and performance across the whole organization.
And that sends a message too, I suppose.
A powerful one. that the company genuinely cares about all its people's well-being.
And he mentions technology playing a role here, making it more feasible.
Definitely. He points to virtual coaching platforms, AI tools, mobile apps.
Stuff that can scale.
Exactly. Technology can help deliver personalized support much more broadly than was ever possible before, reaching people regardless of their role or where they are.
So if we tie this into, like, the future of work discussion.
Yeah.
Wynant's really pushing for a fundamental shift, isn't he? Beyond just maximizing output.
Totally. It's about unlocking potential, empowering people to thrive, not just extracting maximum efficiency. It's sort of reimagining what a successful workplace even looks like.
Redefining success itself, not just the KPIs and the bottom line.
Important as those are.
Right, but also genuinely thinking about how people feel at the end of the day.
Do they feel valued, supported, seen, heard? Or do they feel like a disposable cog in a big machine?
That seen, heard, and supported versus cog in the machine idea really hits home, I think.
It does, and Wynant argues that when companies do invest in coaching more broadly, they send that clear message. We value you, the person, not just the work you do.
So wrapping it up, Wynant's piece is really a call to action, isn't it? A nudge to rethink how we approach support at work.
Absolutely. He stresses that just powering through isn't sustainable. We have to acknowledge the human element.
That people have emotions, dreams, fears, limits.
Precisely. And he brings it back to the benefits for the organization, too. This isn't just fluffy stuff.
No.
Investing in well-being through things like broader coaching access leads to real results. Lower absenteeism, less turnover.
Which costs money.
Huge costs. But also building cultures of trust, psychological safety, genuine connection between people.
And he leaves us with those really potent questions at the end.
Yeah, those are quite something.
Asking us to think. Who are our people becoming while they work for us? Is our culture coaching them into burnout or coaching them into brilliance, quietly or loudly?
It really makes you stop and think about the kind of environment we're creating, intentionally or not.
Definitely.
So yeah, Wynant's perspective is a really strong case for facing the reality of silent stress, seeing the limits of old support models, and considering democratized coaching using both human connection and tech as a proactive way to build a healthier, more engaged, ultimately a more brilliant workforce for you and everyone in your organization.
So, as you, our listeners, think about everything Al Wynant shared, maybe take a moment, reflect on those quieter signs in your own work environment. What patterns are you noticing? And what steps, even small ones, could help foster a more genuinely supportive, empowering culture? Perhaps exploring coaching or similar human-centered approaches could be a really valuable place to start.
Definitely something worth deeper thought.